Can you
Yes,
see
sir.
the slide? Okay. To all of you for your participation, except the rotten apple who tried to cause disturbance. Okay. Before proceeding properly towards the class lectures of the subjects, I would like to discuss about uh, few instructions which are important from learning point of view, whether you are involved engaged in online classes or physically present in the department. So I may proceed towards those. Definitely, you will be familiar with the title of the subject, particle technology, and you belong to third semester. Obviously, this is clear for all of you. Now, among the instructions, the most important point, as our entire nation is stressing, that is about corona problem. So, first of all, I would say that all of you, especially you people, the youth having the potential at its peak, they must have good awareness, good contribution towards overcoming this problem. Reason is that, as we say that, al-aqlu salim fil jism salim. Okay, if you are strong, physically strong, definitely you may respond in a better way on mental basis. So I may expect and I would stress that you must spread in the entire society as a carriers of guidelines against this COVID issue. And secondly, as we observe another problem in our country during rainy season, that is dengue issue. So COVID and dengue issues you have to overcome on, and definitely most important in this regard, that is the enforcement by the government, by the institution, by the department, by the university, that all of you must get that most important. So definitely uh, many of you have, or more or less all of you have got your vaccination. So you don't have to vaccinate yourself only. You must spread this news to the entire nation. That is whether to your parents, sisters, brothers, class fellows, within the campus, within the society, in your town, village, where you are living, residing, you have to float this information. And chemical engineers, you must spread like carry society. So awareness against this disease, that is important, so that you are healthy, physically fit, enough to participate in the classes, in the university, and ultimately in the entire society. Secondly, the instructions as government is enforcing use masks, sanitizers, and take care of social distances so that you get rid from this problem. And lastly, in this regard, our important principle, that is entire environment should be neat and clean. You know that cleanliness is half of it. An-nazifatu min nisful iman. So cleanliness is everywhere required, whether on physical grounds, on mental grounds, on religious grounds, on social grounds, or in interaction basis, just like in the classroom. If I found some people or one person causing disturbance in the class again and again, so we have to keep entire class clean from such people, such mind, or such evil genius peoples. Definitely these people have potential, but they are using their potential in wrong direction. So direction is to be changed. So this is most important first instruction. And definitely from Monday, once you have to appear physically in the university, in the hostels, or within the entire campus, you must ensure that you got vaccination. This is most important. Number one. Number two, Second precaution, uh, that is about your registration on LMS. In the old system, university was responsible for the registration of the student. You pay dues to the university, and university ensures you that you have got registered yourself for certain semester or for term system or any annual system which was running in the old past. But now, as per LMS requirement, you have to enroll or register yourself. No other person, no teacher, no tutor, no chairman, no coordinator, no vice chancellor, no registrar is responsible for your registration. So make sure that you have submitted the dues or you have met the requirements for your registration, and then go to LMS to register yourself. Uh, Yesterday, I observed that out of 78 people, perhaps only about 20 people have registered themselves on LMS. And you must know about the deadline for your registration. So complete your registration within due period. This is most important. Okay. Otherwise, what may happen? Some person paid the dues but failed to register himself within prescribed period, but tries continues to attend the classes or appears in the exam, but ultimately there would be no provision for the submission of result for such people. So you have to take care of yourself. You are responsible for your result as well. So important thing, vaccination followed by your enrollment or registration within due period. Thirdly, about the ethics or about the proceedings in the class lecture, so that some amicable environment is available and you can learn easily. In this regard, if you are an online, always remember that whenever you join some group for online classes, immediately mute your mic. Okay, wait till teacher gives you some instructions or allows you to put questions. So in this way or learning that would be easier. So don't interfere, don't uh, distort the lectures or classes at your own will. Mic must be mute. Then obviously time investment, that is one of the most important factors toward learning. And you may definitely observe that this investment may be classified or grouped into three different categories, namely your arrival, secondly participation or interaction within prescribed period, and thirdly departure. So in all three aspects, you must be always present, well in time, and your interaction or involvement in the class, that must be optimum. Okay, I may correlate this reality with Iqbal's philosophy. Okay, as from chemical engineering point of view, as uh, entire chemical reactions take place within a reactor, entire heat transfer within heat exchanger, entire momentum transfer, say within centrifuge, entire, say, your learning within the classroom. Okay. So what Iqbal said, मौज है दरिया में और बैरूने दरिया कुछ नहीं. So remember that entire uh, uh, this interaction that is confined to the classroom. तो जितना मद्दोजज़र है, जवार भाटा है, दरिया के अंदर लहरें हैं, वेव्स हैं, टाइड्स हैं, सो जिस तरह वो सारे का सारी तग़यानी वहाँ पे प्रोवाइड कर रही हैं, exactly on the same grounds, entire learning from your point of view, that is confined to ideal stage of distillation column, which corresponds to your classroom or laboratories. So if you are present in the classroom or laboratory and you interact, just like heat transfer, mass transfer, momentum transfer, phase transfer, or structure transfer due to chemical reaction, in exactly in the same way, knowledge transfer can be observed. So time investment, that is always important. Then if you are present in the classroom, it doesn't mean that teacher or any other person is interacting with non-living matter. You are no more a stone. Okay? You are, after all, human beings, living creatures. What does this mean? You have to interact within the classroom. As I mentioned, exactly in the same way as for heat transfer, mass transfer, momentum transfer, exposure or contact is always desired between different components, between different phases. So if you don't interact with the teacher through your questioning, through your response corresponding to different queries, you can't learn anything. So one-way traffic that can't lead towards optimum or proper learning of the people. Proper learning always means that few ideas are floated by the teachers, some debate or discussion is there, followed by some queries or questions which are demanded from your side. And definitely two outcomes are there, just like two faces of coin, head or tail. So exactly in the same way, either answer may be correct or wrong. But every wrong learning or every failure is the key to success. Don't hesitate in participation in the classes as per advice. Okay. Whenever you are asked to respond, you should respond. Whenever you are asked to keep silence, you must keep silence. Okay. If every one person tries to proceed in the society at one's own will, just like the stupid movement which we have observed and the moral consequences of those stupid practices in the society, that whatever I like, I must do at my own will. No, always remember that what you have to do, that is to be decided by opposite authority, that is who have give you reward. Okay. For example, if we see that Almighty Allah has ordered us, all of us must say prayers 5 times a day, or we must pay zakat, we must perform Hajj, or other good deeds. These are the responsibilities and they are imposed by Almighty Allah. Apparently, such activities might be against our will, apparently, but in reality they are always in our favor. So what we see that sometime during winter or sometime during summer, we say that okay, it is too much hot or it is too much cold, it is very difficult to prepare ourselves for wuzu and namaz. But remember that if we would proceed at our own will against the instructions of Almighty Allah, we can't get fruits or benefits which have been promised by Almighty Allah. So, exactly on the same lines, whenever you are a part of this organization have uh, said that you would be awarded these rewards. For example, distinction, honors, medals. Okay, but if you meet these and these requirements, you must have at least 75% attendance in every subject. You must have good conduct on moral basis, and you must obtain excellent or good grades, good marks in every subject in every semester without failing. So if you fulfill all these requirements, in the end you might be awarded with gold medals, with honors degrees, distinction, other prizes. So this is again outcome of your submission against your will according to the constraints of the university. So remember that you don't have to follow your own will. You must always see what is demanded from me, from this society, that is from this university, by different teachers. So as per requirement of different teachers or as per requirement of the university, if you follow, if you proceed, in the end you always come up with good grades, good scores, honors, distinction, medal. So uh, for this purpose, as I mentioned, that questioning is always necessary, random questioning. Okay, Don't assume that only class representative or CR is always responsible to respond each and every question. No, all of you are part of the class. All of you have want to score or earn good grades, good marks. So all of you should interact or participate. So as I mentioned that whenever you are asked to respond, you should respond. And once you are asked to keep silence, you must keep silence. So always see the demand and proceed as per demand. Definitely you can learn. Otherwise, if you would proceed at your own will, you would be perhaps always suffering from losses. Then during online classes, remember that every teacher tries to uh, download attendance randomly twice or thrice. But this is the sweet will of every teacher. You can't bound the teacher that, okay, I was present during first 15 minutes or present during last 15 minutes, I must be included. No, attendance is to be considered randomly. If you are found absent, you will be found absent. Alternatively, if you assume that if I have joined group, then I may move towards my own activities within home or outside my home, and teacher would assume that okay, during download attendance person is present, he or she should be considered as present. This is one option. But randomly if I may call some roll number or some student to respond me, if person is unable to respond, he or she may be considered to be absent. So complete or total participation from start to end, that is desired. Only only then you can learn in a better way. Then some bitter realities are always there towards learning. Okay? Definitely each individual in the society must be given a chance to show or expose one's potential, one's abilities. But unfortunately some unseen or undesired hurdles are always present. One such problem, that is money, dues. Obviously, if fees are increasing, heavy dues are to be paid, but usually they are paid by your parents, not by you yourself. So this is bitter reality. Okay, that should not be encouraged. But remember that as we say that usually there are three additives to convert any valueless activity into valuable one. Any one of you who may comment about these three value additives? That is true for general society, for science, for industry, for chemical engineering, and every field. Three additives which may convert valueless activity or valueless material or valueless product into useful or valuable product or activity. First of all, time investment. Okay, if you don't come to the classes, if you don't go to your shop or your duty or your office, your industry, you can't perform anything. So time investment, that is always required. Then time investment doesn't mean that if you are present for this one hour or 1.5 hours during the lecture, you are learning each and everything. No, this is mainly a contribution of the mentor, instructor, or the teacher who is forcing you or shaping you in certain mold according to one's own instructions, whether you are willing or unwilling to do that activity. So during the classes, during the labs, you are forced to proceed as per demand of the instructor. And if you proceed in an excellent manner on the demand of instruction during a lecture, in a certain class, or in an experiment, it doesn't mean that you are actually learning each and everything or you want to learn something. This is forced learning environment. And forced learning environment is imposed so that this forced environment is permanently induced in your minds, in your heart, in your feelings, in your actions. That is actually required. So if this induction is no more permanent, if it is only temporary under forced condition within the classroom, it doesn't mean that you are actually learning. So second demand is your effort. And where effort starts, once lecture or class closes. Once you leave university, you come to your hostel, you move to your hostel or houses or homes, then your true learning starts. Whether still you want to learn something, whether still you want to explore the books, notes, lectures, different websites regarding a particular subject. If answer is yes, it means that you are actually learning. So this is uh, simply uh, um, an explanation of the uh, great thought, "Laisa lil insana illa ma sa'a." So effort or struggle, that is always required. Time investment, one ingredient or component. Then your efforts, that is always required. And lastly, bitter or tragic reality. What is that? Money investment, fines, punishment, dues, fees. Why these are required? One option to run the society. If you don't have uh, money collected from the people in the form of different taxes, revenues, no government can run the country or society. So no government want to impose taxes or revenues on taxes on the people, but unfortunately that is always desired to run any society or system. Exactly in the same way, if fees are imposed on the students, definitely in a welfare society, there must be no concept of fee. But remember that once you impose fines, taxes, fees, what is the outcome? People try to get rid from these fines or punishment. Or alternatively, they try to meet the theme of these punishments or fees or taxes. So if you pay dues, and especially once the dues are heavier ones, it becomes a pressure or force from your parents on you that you have to learn more and more regarding this particular subject or field, so that ultimately uh, you may be in a position to offset those losses by helping your parents, your brothers, sisters, or in general to the entire society. Ultimately, by earning revenues. Once you become in a position uh, that you are a good engineer, you can act as a manager in a certain good organization. So definitely these are the fruits or outcomes. So this is third ingredient after time investment, efforts, money investment is the third. And one utilization of this money investment, I mentioned that whenever you have to enroll yourself on LMS, you have to pay dues. So this is money investment by your parent. Secondly, to run your learning act, you require dues in the form of, say, laptop, mobiles, okay, for their charging, okay, for internet facilities. So again, a bitter reality should not be there towards learning in any welfare society. But just to give an idea, or just to exert a certain stress or pressure on the people, they should learn, they should participate. Otherwise, they have to face heavy consequences of punishment in the form of dues. So these heavy dues, these bitter realities may convert some careless people into a responsible citizen. So this should be the hidden theme, whether it is on true basis or not, that is different story. But always the concept of punishment is not to punish a person, but to convert careless person into responsible citizen. So exactly on the same lines I mentioned that you are responsible for these resources. No teacher, no university, or even state is not directly responsible. Indirectly, definitely government always tries to facilitate, tries to encourage about the facilities of internet or other, say, low price mobiles or laptops, or indirectly in the campus, you have computer labs where you may avail these facilities. But up to certain level, it is again certain stress. So don't make excuses that my laptop mobile, definitely in the end I would like to comment about this uh, problem as well. Perhaps during the first two lectures you may say that I try to make the excuse of these problems which I am highlighting or discouraging. Definitely remember that even though I tried to uh, show this problem for myself during first two lectures. This was a problem. My laptop was out of order, net connection, Evo that was not working. I have to spend my 3 or 4 days for this problem. But you may see that as a last point, what I mentioned, never quote and insist bad example for no or delayed compliance. Okay, if I'm wrong at some stage, don't assume that, or don't assume or imitate my wrong deeds as a tool for your favor or for the favor of any other person. Okay, so good examples, they cannot be quoted for no response or delayed response. So same is mentioned by me that you have to ensure the availability of resources well in time for you. Otherwise, you may face difficulties as I am facing. I have to delay the lectures. That is never appreciable, not a good practice. So, same is demanded from you, same is expected from me, same is expected from all the people in the society. So everyone may have excuses or logics for one's delayed or no response, but on rational ground, these should be always discouraged. They cannot be used as a tool. Okay, next, regarding another element, time investment element, that requires 75% attendance in every subject, in every course, whether theory part or practical part. 75% attendance is mandatory as per book, as per rules and regulation of this university. Whether they are implemented in full spirit or not, whether they are implemented in good spirit or bad spirit, that is separate story. But as per book, from a good student's point of view, from a good teacher's point of view, participation or attendance up to 75% limit is mandatory. But you must restrict it to from student point of view, 75. But from teacher's point of view, 100% participation is necessary. Teachers don't have any exemption. How I mention on the next slide and make it clear. So time investment up to 75% limit is required. This is the minimum limit, not the maximum limit. Maximum 100% and even beyond 100%. If you want to learn more and more, you may ask the teacher to arrange extra classes, extra lectures, or extra discussion within the class or even after class. How? I may comment on the next slide about to this question. But at the same time, this point should be further elaborated. If 75% attendance is mandatory, what usually people assume that 25% absences they are allowable, or if they are absent, they may submit leave to the teacher, and leave should be considered as a part of their attendance. No, it is incorrect. It is not justified. So from as per book, as per rule, I may mention the meaning of these 25%. Okay, if you are a good student, definitely you must go towards 100% participation rather than minimum requirement of 75%, or 10% relaxation may be given by the dean as per rule. But why you should go to back foot? Why you should beg favor from the authorities? Okay, as a teacher, as a good student, while you are morally bound from your parents, they have paid dues for you. Why you should be absent? Why your parents must know that their son or daughter haven't attended classes completely, or did not perform well or good in quizzes or midterm, final term, or other assignments or quizzes. So excellent response is always required. But here, one misconception is that people assume that if they are absent, they may get approval of leave from the tutor or from coordinator or chairperson or concerned authorities, and it may be submitted, and then they insist that, is there any problem? Okay, so far I don't have directly started about the subject, but from my point of view, these points are important. That is, I want to elaborate these points. Okay. At the end of slide or at the end of this topic, you would be given full chance to put questions to me. Okay, so people assume that if they have submitted leaves, they must be considered as a part of their attendance. No, it cannot be considered. Whether me or you, no one is an exception. Okay, so 75% attendance means 75% attendance, not leaves. And as per rule, what do we mean by leave? We usually say that if someone is on leave, he or she must be considered as present. And what we say that otherwise person is absent. No, remember that from rules and regulation point of view, leave mean absence with permission. Okay, you get permission for absence, and if you don't get permission, what you usually call as absence, that is absconded from legal point of view. Okay, so either absconded or leave with permission or presence. Three different aspects are there. So if you are on leave, then definitely, if you know that during next lecture I may not be present, then leave should be approved, preferably approved before the lectures. But unfortunately, sometimes we never know what may happen with us or with our, say, other family member very next moment. So if you got some problem, alternate solution is that you must approve your leave within 1 or at most 2 days. Okay, it must not be the case that at the end of the semester people ask the teacher, okay, during which lecture I was absent. People never know whether person was absent in the 5th lecture, 12th lecture, or 18th lecture. They ask the teacher, they must tell. No, remember that you have to keep your attendance record yourself. Concept of self accountability must be there. Okay, rather than I must point out you, or I must finger out you that you were absent during these lectures. You must have your own record. I was absent or I was on leave due to this issue. This is the approved leave, and I know that my leave quota that doesn't exceed 25%. You have to ensure it. Okay. Next, as I mentioned that for the learning, once you join certain group during online classes, you mute your mic You listen the teacher for that one slide, and at the end of each slide, I always allow the student to put questions. Okay, this is your learning, your light. You have paid dues for what purpose? For learning. So if you don't put questions, it means you are not sincere with your parents, you are not sincere with yourself. So sincerity demands that if there is some discrepancy in teacher's statement or teacher's slides and your learning, that this difference should be minimized, and questioning is the best tool to overcome this difference. So theoretically, or actually, this standard deviation should approach towards zero. But remember that five fingers are never equal. If the level of teacher's knowledge and that of student becomes exactly equal, no knowledge transfer can take place. Just like heat transfer, it takes place from a body at higher temperature to a lower one. So similarly, knowledge transfer may take place from a person with higher level of knowledge to a person with relatively lower level of knowledge. And otherwise, reverse engineering may also take place. For example, if I don't know something or if I don't want to learn something, how can I teach? So this conventionally, there is a concept that there is definitely knowledge difference between certain mentor and certain learner or the student. So this difference should be minimized by putting rational and sensible question as instructed by certain instructor or mentor or teacher. Then during the queries, definitely we must wait for our own turn. What does this mean? If some person have already asked a certain question, allow that person to be satisfied from the answer of the instructor or teacher. If one is satisfied, then next one must put question. But if we try to proceed exactly in the same way as usually we see our politicians or leaders in talk shows on TV, all people along with host are speaking at one time, and we can't listen anyone, we can't understand anyone. That causes problems. So patience is always required. So allow others to put questions, and then it is quite possible that during that answer, one or two or many of your question may also be resolved. Okay, so from question point of view, these points should be kept in our mind. You don't have to stop yourself from questioning. Remember that it is your right. You have paid dues to the university, and definitely why you can't realize these things. Definitely, since the dues are paid by your parents. If you have to pay all the dues, especially the heavy dues or amounts yourself, you would realize the importance. You would behave in a different way. But we have to be sincere with ourselves, with our parents, with the society. So if we can't learn something, if it is being paid, then we have to put questions so that we may learn in a better way regarding certain subject. Now, is there any query or question regarding these few points? Although they are, this is no more directly linked with the subject, but indirectly these instructions are important from subject learning point of view. Any question from your side, please? So far regarding these instructions.
No, sir.
Yes. Is there any question?
No, sir.
No, sir.
Okay.
Clear.
Okay, thank you very much. I would make one comment. Okay, I mentioned that you are no more uh, non-living matter, never a stone, but living people. So, what does this mean? if I ask you some question, you should respond me. Okay. If you don't respond me, it means that I am talking with walls, with stones, with rocks. So if you are living, you should respond as per demand. And when I would say that keep silence, then you should keep silence. Okay. Anyhow, few instructions, moving toward next other instructions. Okay. Today's we can make the use of technology, one in the form of online lecture, another aspect use of certain gadgets, mobile phones and laptop as well. So for post lecture questioning, I would always recommend that you, if you have any difficulty, you may ask questions via WhatsApp to me. But remember that there is certain problem. People usually assume that if I throw certain message to a teacher instructing me to do something, call to a teacher knows my name, registration, and knows me well. No. गैब का इल्म अल्लाह रब्बुल इज्जत के पास, बंदे के पास नहीं हो सकता. Okay. So what is the proper strategy? Whenever you want to put question via WhatsApp or via call, it is always preferable you must put some message to the teacher against your registration number. And people never follow this strategy. They assume that, okay, few months earlier or 1 month earlier, I asked the question, I threw my registration number to the teacher. So remember that I don't have the record of all the students at one time in my cell phone. Okay? That will lead to wastage of time. So if you have to put question, always show your identity. This is most important. If you would not expose your identity, I'm no more bound to respond to you. So just put a message against your registration number. If you would not show your registration number, I would not respond any person. So this is about the post lecture queries. Then, as I mentioned that most of the time investment is not made by you. That is, dues are not paid by you yourself. They are paid by your parents, your custodians, or your brothers, sisters, or any other one who's your custodian. So it is their right that they must know whether if they are making investment, what is the outcome of this investment? This is the basic principle of business. Whenever you invest something, you always try to know about the status of your investment, whether it is in right direction, whether it is giving me some profit or not. So exactly in the same way, I would advise, I would recommend as an instruction that you must keep your parents or custodians well aware about, well informed about your status. Okay, you are now students of third semester. So once the result of second semester comes, you should inform it to your parent, whether you are passed, whether you are failed. But never try to bypass or cheat your parents or investors or custodians. This is against ethics. And similarly, once some teachers ask you, although nowadays teachers have direct access to the entire result, updated results of the students through LMS facility. But if some teacher trusts you and just asks you, what is your CGPA? What is your status? What is your current position? So you should inform on a fair basis. Don't try to play with your custodian, with your parents, with your teachers, with your colleagues, and with the entire society. Okay, next point, That is very interesting. We assume that this learning is a long journey and we have to invest a major part of our life toward learning. Definitely, we are asked to learn from uh, cradle to grave. माँ की गोद से गोर तक कब्र तक इल्म हासिल करो. So once we are instructed और फिर इल्म हासिल करो खा चीन भी क्यों ना जाना पड़े. सो आजकल तो चाइना हमारे पास पहुंच गया, हमें जाने की भी जरूरत नहीं है. एनी हो, so we must not assume that we have to spend entire life toward learning. Definitely, entire life is a learning process. Whether someone is a child, grown up, in old age, or too old, learning never stops. But we must technically realize how much part of our life is invested by us towards learning. I would talk about forced learning. And you must see that whether this little investment is sufficient or not. Okay, see, at present, our semester is restricted to 15 weeks at present. This is gross week. But initially it was up to 18 weeks, and even before this one in term system it was restricted up to 25 to 26 weeks. But you may see that time is being reduced or squeezed, whether uh, good or bad, that is separate story. But at present I'm saying that allocated time for this current semester is 15 weeks. And 15 week mean 3 hours contact hours per week are to be utilized, and in all 45 hour maximum hours which may be observed corresponding to any theory or practical subject, that is 3 hours per week. And if we have 15 week, it means at most 45 hours are required to learn any subject, or theoretically this is the allocated time. Okay, I may little bit exaggerate. 45 hour is approximately equal to 48 hour. So what does this mean? It means that 2 days at the rate of 24 hour per day is required to completely to complete the course outline or course contents of any subject, whether in theory or in practical. Maximum limit. And furthermore, I may assume that during each semester you have to uh, participate in 5 theory courses and 5 practical courses. Although this is exaggeration, it is no more true in all semesters. So I am assuming that 10 different subjects, 5 theory, 5 practical subjects are to be learned by you in each semester. If it were true, and on my theoretical maybe holiday during certain So what does this mean? Practically, if you may realize that rather than this maximum efficiency or investment efficiency of 15%, it might be as low as 5 to 10%. So you invest just 5 to 10% of your life, of your every day, of your every week or every month toward learning. 5% or 10%. So remaining 90 to 95% is spare for you for taking rest, breakfast, meal, for exercise, for sports activities, okay, for chatting, for gupshup, or for other activities in the life. So practically we may see that forced learning environment in the university that is not very hard and strict. This just demands 5 to 10% dedication toward learning. But if we are able to invest this 5 to 10% time of our life toward learning in a fair way, at the end of semester we find a lot of difference in our potential, earlier level and final level at the end of semester. So try to be a realistic one and see that we are not forced to learn each and everything with on gunpoint or by using sticks by the teacher or always the instructions or the uh, exchange of harsh word. We have a lot of time which we may spend at our own will, but the purpose of this 5 to 10% forced learning is that entire life comes to this track. This forced environment must be induced when we are not present within the campus, within the classroom, within the university. Then we must behave exactly on the same line. That would be our investment effort. So efforts begin outside the classroom, forced learning within the classroom. So this forced environment is to be converted into sustainable induced environment. Okay, induction effects usually temporary, just like if you rub magnet with some iron pieces, temporarily magnetism may be induced within the system, or if you pass electric current through a conductor momentarily for a certain period, it may show electric or magnetic effect. But as long as current is stopped, electrical or magnetic effect tends to cease. This is the same. If you are present in the mosque, you listen the khutbah or address by some mufti maulana, for certain period, your polluted thoughts are converted into neat and clean thoughts. Good feelings arise in the mind. But once you leave that environment of mosque or church or any, say, such environment, then these force effects tends to diminish. So induced effect may be temporary, but from our learning point of view, the concept of universities, colleges, or you may say this institutions regarding formal education is to induce these thoughts or feeling in entire life. So 5 to 10% force investment must become a part of remaining 90 to 95% line, so that you are always involved in some cognitive process in learning more and more and in excelling in the society, and ultimately the ultimate goal, that is the benefit of the entire community. When you think about the benefit of entire society, remember that you are part of society. Definitely you would also be benefited. But if you don't think this way, you just try to provide benefit to yourself only, then remember that if you are benefited, it doesn't mean that entire society is benefited. So think globally, act locally, but still global effects may be observed. So anyhow, this is extremely important principle. We hardly invest 5 to 10% time in the forced learning environment. If you are absent, if you are on leave, if teacher is not present, if some holiday is there, if due to corona or other problems, classes duration is squeezed or reduced, just like here, semester duration from 18 week, it is reduced to 15 week, then definitely efficiency or investment further reduces. But even if you are still fair, you can learn a lot within this smaller period. So next one, I I would demand from all of you to provide me information regarding you and your custodians in the form of certain Excel sheet, your name, registration number, valid contact number, and similarly your custodian name and custodian's valid contact number. Why? If you are performing something exceptionally good, I may inform your parents just to encourage you. Alternatively, if you are performing very bad, I may inform your parents. So either way, one information is to be provided by you to your custodian. As I mentioned in point number 14, that you must keep your parents or custodian well aware about your present status in education. Okay, whether you go to the classes or don't go to the classes, whether you participate or don't interact, whether you earn good grades or failures. In either case, entire information must be communicated to your custodian because they are investing. You are not investing money on your learning. Then another issue which is observed in our system is that if some person is failed in olden system, such peoples were hidden. They were allowed to appear in supplementary exams. Okay, but now there is no concept of private exams. Okay, so if you fail, you have to attend the classes yourself in the next semester. You have to enroll or register yourself in the next semester. And what does this mean? You can't make any excuses. People usually try to search for loophole. Okay, if I don't come to the classes, can you allow me? No, should not be spared. And similarly, people make the excuses. I was absent in the last lecture. You declared quiz. I was not informed. Remember that this is no longer my responsibility. Okay, it is the responsibility communicate these information with their class fellow. So senior student, if they have failed, it is their limitation. In the subject, and if they don't come to the classes class at that time, you must exchange your views with class representative. Don't dictate teachers in this regard. So one person, entire class, or the teacher should not be punished. As per this semester system, it is the responsibility of the student to ensure to get himself or herself registered in the subject. If there is a clash in the timetable of your current semester and in the other semester for which you are applying, you are responsible for that. Student have to ensure that my timetable should not be conflicting. One chairman or timetable in charge or teacher is not bound that for one person I must change my schedule for every lecture. No, timing is fixed, timing is shown, teachers are fixed, shown by the head of the department in the form of timetable, and you have to check yourself whether you can fit yourself in any particular slot with your current semester or not. So this is message for all the senior student. If they registered in any subject, they have to ensure whether they can be present in the classes or not. Never try to deal with the teachers or the chairpersons or the vice chancellor that we must be given exemption, or if I don't come to the classes, whether you would mind, you would not mind. No, teacher must be minded. You have to appear in the classes. You have to ensure your presence. Otherwise, whether you have given any affidavit to university that you have informed to your parents, you would not attend the classes. If you don't have informed your parents this way, then you should not proceed this way. It is improper. Then another issue in this regard, that is uh, whenever quizzes, exams are announced, such senior students or even some non-serious student within the existing class, they try to search for loopholes and try to get benefit. I can't be present at this time. I have another quiz at this time. I have to submit another assignment. I am not mentally prepared. I must be given another chance. No. Remember that you have to ensure that you have to fulfill the requirements of each and every teacher. You don't have to dictate the teacher. As I mentioned that if you want to get reward, then you have to obey the instructions of authorities. Okay, if Almighty Allah have promised the greatest reward in the world in the form of Jannah, then we are fools to obey his instructions, not our will. We have to show our will. So exactly in the same way, if you want to get benefit from this university, from this organization is for you, for the student, not for the teachers or other staff directly. It is for student. So you have to submit yourself. You have to show humbleness. You have to obey the rules and regulations of the institutions. So as I mentioned that if you have any personal problem, no individual must try to show one's personal problem as a problem of the community. No, if you can't come, if you are not mentally prepared for the exam, don't try to delay the exam or quiz or assignment submission. Okay, if you don't have work hard. Why other people should be punished for that? Okay, so only the person who doesn't have work hard, that must be punished. Other must be given benefit. So such political minds, they should be discouraged. So anyhow, these are few points which I mentioned, which are important from learning point of view. Any comment or question about these points?
No, sir.
No, sir. Clear.
Okay, okay. Definitely, this is the timetable. You know that the schedule or timetable. Then about the subject, obviously known thing. One point which I have already mentioned by highlighted here. Okay, what is that? Now teaching is restricted to 15 weeks. This is one point. Second problem with this schedule so far, whether it is changed tomorrow, I can't say anything. But at present, what was mentioned that there would be no separate week for midterm exam. Okay, although I am unable to digest or understand the meaning or the theme of this approach which have been floated, that is also causing some confusion to me. Okay, in what way I may mention, but I am confident that definitely authorities will find the solution, rational solution, or this would be rectified. What is that? It is mentioned that during lectures, each teacher would conduct midterm exam in one zone lecture. So I am surprised that at one time I may conduct class with lecture section A or with section B. Both sections are separate. Okay, at present on physical ground, gathering, especially due to COVID, that is again banned due to large gathering of 80, 100 or more than 100 students at one time. So physically we can't conduct two sections in the form of single section. So I am surprised. What should I do if I have to conduct a midterm exam during my own lecture? I may conduct with either section A or with section B, not with A and B both at one time. But this is strange. This is the instruction. Definitely, I think it would be readdressed or some rational solution would be thought about this, especially for mechanical or electrical with civil with three or four sections are available. How four section may have class with one teacher at one time? So whenever you conduct with A, then do you think that with section B, I have to conduct class say on the next day or after 2 hours, whether same question paper may be used or different question paper should be there? If it is different, then again, new queries, new questions may arise. So I think there is, this is the area which needs to be immediately addressed by the authority. Furthermore, I'm not assured, as mentioned by the authorities, that after midterm, online physical classes would be moved or shifted toward online classes and vice versa. So what would be the status of midterm and how it is to be conducted? I'm not clear. Possibly authorities might be clear and they may export at 11th hour. Let's see and wait. I can comment only this one about this problematic constraint for the current semester. Any duration that is shown, then definitely a breakdown that is of the mass, that is obvious. 30% sessional, 30% midterm, 40% final term. And again, about these few guidelines are always available. From my point of view, I am mentioning that I would conduct closed book, closed notes exam rather than open book, open note. Different teachers may have their strategy, but unfortunately, there is no more such flexibility in our system because open book, open notes have its own constraint. Practically, it may seem even more difficult than closed book, closed note. Why in open book, open notes? No direct questions are asked from the book and no direct solutions are available. You have to shows your cognitive level, thinking process, and then you have to respond. Anyhow, I mentioned that closed book, closed notes exam would be conducted. And regarding final term exam, two constraints are mentioned as per demand, which we should keep in our mind. 75% attendance is mandatory to appear in final term exam. Okay, which have been already addressed. And secondly, it is mentioned that final term exam may include 20 to 30% from pre-midterm lectures. Okay, so this is as per rules and regulations of our current system. And lastly, I may mention that during course outline, I may show some assignment quizzes, but remember that online assessment, I would not prefer it, although there are certain modes for conducting online exam quizzes as well. But this is possible if and only if people agree, people are given some awareness, they may be conducted. Otherwise, as our authorities have shown slots for midterm and final term exam, which is mentioned that physical exams, they are necessary and mandatory as it has been practiced, and definitely all of you are familiar with this practice in our campus. Now, next one, I mentioned the literature regarding the subject. I tried to show blend of relatively novel, very new books along with conventional books as well, so that you may have a good picture or idea of the subject. Obviously, in my time, it was even very difficult to find the textbooks. But nowadays, you can go for a single command on Google. Number of websites are available. You can download new novel and latest books, literature every day, every moment. So I try to mention the books which are more relevant to the subject, although dozens of other books are also available, and every year I try to incorporate one or more ideas from the later books as well. Anyhow, these books which I shown 5 books as textbook. Although for certain books, even more latest edition for Coulson Richardson, you may see that now the 6th volume conventional chemical engineering books that have been divided into further sub volume. For first volume as 1A, 1B, second volume 2A, 2B, third volume 3A and 3B. So rather than 6 books, now 9 books. Fourth, fifth, they correspond to solution manual. Sixth one regarding plant design. So 6th volume, very comprehensive book. But although novel idea approaches are included in the latest edition, certain problems are there. For the details of the fundamentals, again authors have referred old edition. So remember that old is always gold. Okay, you can't say that old editions they are outdated, they must be abolished. No, especially from learning point of view, and especially from textbook point of view, old conventional ideas they are always present to in detailed in earlier editions. Later editions they involve typical application or few novel ideas, and usually the fundamentals or the actual themes they are eliminated from the latest edition. That is why learners, beginners, they always try to move towards earlier edition. That is concept of reverse engineering is also there in learning. So similarly, you may observe that regarding your conventional book of unit operation, I mentioned 2 editions, 7th and 5th. Certain reason, obviously 7th one being the latest, still it cannot be now termed as latest. It was published in 2005, 16 years back. And within parentheses, I mentioned 5th edition published in 93. So roughly 20 years back. So I have stressed on older edition. Why? Reason is that conventionally the course outline of the subject that was more based on this book and on earlier edition. In latest edition, details and major topics they have been eliminated. Although if we move towards other latest book, just like Fundamentals of Particle Technology by Holditch and very good book by Rhodes, Introduction to Particle Technology, and Jonathan Sevely book regarding particle technology, they involve all the fundamentals or the restoration of the fundamentals which have been removed by McCabe and Smith in its latest study. So along with knowledge, there is concept of monetary benefits by authors as well. What is that? They try to remove fundamentals from the latest edition and refer the reader for the earlier edition. So the importance of earlier edition is cannot be eliminated, and that also pays some money to the writers. So there is concept of knowledge transfer and there is concept of author benefits as well. So anyhow, technology don't have to focus on monetary benefit. It have to address the technical aspects which might be present in some latest book and few in some earlier edition. That is why blend of different editions is shown here. Then other few reference books have been shown, and on the next page certain handbooks and dictionaries. Nowadays if you go, you can get all the books on single click by using different website. I would ask that you should be able to download these books or see these books. You may see that I mentioned 8th edition of Perry here, and you possibly few of you might be familiar that now the latest edition is 9th one. So I may change it to 9th one as well. Okay. Anyhow, in latest edition, new chapters are added or same topics they are written by other authors, and basics for basics of many things again reader is forced toward earlier edition. So usually in from chemical engineering point of view, one this Perry book, then Chemical Engineering by Coulson Richardson. They are one of the Bibles from chemical engineering point of view. They are not only used as a textbook by the students and teachers in the universities, but they are used by the practicing engineers in the industries as well. And lastly, I try to mention few dictionaries from where you can find the particular jargon or technical terminology of the subject, although nowadays people don't bother for such dictionaries, handbooks. They try to move towards different websites, or they can search the proper terminology easily. Not only from chemical engineering point of view, same term may be observed from point of view number of subjects at one time. So books have been mentioned. Regarding the books, I would advise that all of you must go through these books. And what is required? Contents, then preface, and then have a bird's eye view about the book, whether this addresses only theoretical aspects or design aspects or operational aspects or environmental aspects or economic aspects, safety aspects. So which type of features regarding particular particle technology, equipments, machinery, or different terminology is addressed by certain book. And similarly, whether some data is available in the book in the form tables, graphs, charts, or in the form of models or equations. So different authors use different types of strategy. And another aspect, what type of detailed schematic diagram of equipments are available nowadays in the latest book, especially if I mention regarding particle technology, good book by Holdage. If you go to this book, author have mentioned website to see the equipments. And obviously, if you go to the Google, you can find the options for images and lot of uh, animations and some uh, YouTube movies, documentary movies regarding different types of equipment. So anyhow, they can be used by the people just as a hobby or fun, and they can learn a lot of. But remember that in we have to analyze the uh, uh, diagrams or say animations or videos from YouTube, which are directly related with from our academic point of view, and which are mainly from business point of view. From business point of view, demands and features, they are different. From academic point of view, approaches are different. So once you analyze few videos or diagram, you can realize this is beneficial from my point of view, and this is of no importance from my point of view. So anyhow, I would like to stop at this stage. Then course outline is mentioned. So uh, this although this lecture is not directly related with any ABC of particle technology, but I may say that this ABC is important regarding learning of any subject. So I try to highlight few features, especially from my point of view, or I try to reflect, show my strategies, the way you have to behave so that you can earn good marks from my point of view. Different teachers, they may have their own demands regarding the nature or the type of subject. So just try to go through these books. I may provide, but all these books are available in PDF form. So try to get these books rather than using very old, even nowadays very old books, they are also available in soft form, but unfortunately few books are scanned, but mostly the books are being converted in PDF form. So you can explore more or less all the books, and I mentioned you should try to explore the mind of the author in regarding every book. That is whether author is addressing design feature, operational features, or environmental features, safety features, or cost features of the equipments, and in which way. and information, whether it is purely theoretical in the form of diagrams, in the form of tabular information, graphical display, or which kind. So this requires your input effort through course outline, then preface and forewords, and bird's eye view of the book. So with this one, I would like to stop. In the course outline, I mentioned this was designed by me 2 years back and supported, supplemented, endorsed by the entire department. So last topic, one topic which have been removed from here that have been considered as a part of now separation processes. So a little bit changes were made by me. Uh, 2 year earlier courses in now practice. So just go through these course outline, and then this is followed by weekly lecture plan, and corresponding references are mentioned. So they would be inshallah discussed in the Monday's lecture, and one lecture definitely from this week that would be conducted as online in the next week. On which day it is to be conducted, that will be decided during existing classes or on physical classes. So anyhow, thanks to all of you for your participation and presence in the lecture. And I would expect uh, true participation and involvement from all of you in all the classes. So, uh, is there any query or question from your side?
No, sir.
Okay.
No, sir.
Uh, at present, I am observing 55, 56 attendees. I don't know how many were actually present, how many were just showing their presence. Anyhow, I would say that all of you should participate wholeheartedly, and inshallah, we would try to proceed properly from Monday. And thanks to all of you for your participation, and it is Allah Hafiz.
Allah.